Welcome to the very first episode of Body Slams and Body Counts, where body slams hit as hard as plot twists, and the bodies count. Well, don't stop counting. I'm your host, DJ, and this is a podcast where TV madness, wrestling chaos, and true crime obsession collide. This show is about breaking down the most binge-worthy TV shows, predicting future wrestling storylines, or even talking about some cool what-if scenarios. And we'll be taking deep dives in some of the minds of the most notorious killers ever. You'll laugh, you'll question reality, and by the end of it, you'll probably be rewatching Dexter and Googling cold cases at 2 a.m. That's the hope. So buckle up because we're starting things off with something close to my heart, my Sweet Pea. All right, true crime aficionados and lover of dark humor, let's dive into the twisted world of Sweet Pea, the Star series that premiered October 10th, 2024. In Season 1, Episode 1, titled Sorry for Your Loss, we meet Rhiannon Lewis, portrayed by Ella Parnell, a woman so overlooked she might as well be furniture. But as we'll see, ever the most unassuming wallflower can leave thorns. So let's break down a day in the life of Rhiannon Lewis. Rhiannon's existence is a masterclass of invisibility. At work, she works as a receptionist at the Kansas Gazette, where her boss, Norman, calls her Sweet Pea, probably because he doesn't even remember her fucking name. Her aspirations to become a journalist are dismissed faster than clickbait headlines. At home, she's grappling with her father's terminal illness and the emotional distance between her sister, Saren, who literally has one foot out the door and the other one in the French countryside. To top it all off, her high school tormentor, Julia, has strayed back in town as a successful real estate agent. What's that saying? When life gives you lemons, well, then in her case, you just suck lemons. The universe has this ridiculous vendetta against this poor child. In this episode, her father passes away, leaving her adrift. Her sister immediately wants to sell the family home, and then enlists in the tormentor, the super bully of all bullies, the real estate agent, Julia. Now you might be saying, fuck, what else could happen? She has a beautiful little Chihuahua dog named Tink that meets a tragic end, becoming another casualty of a distracted dog walking in the middle of the street. Tears. Super tears. So naturally, each human being will have a breaking point. After a disastrous confrontation with Julia at a nightclub, and I mean this was fucked up, like put her back in time, tormented her back to when she was in high school, Sweet Pea instantly tries to seek solace and just basically try to get the fuck up out of there. So she's kneeling down by the canal looking at the water. Some drunk fuck literally fails to realize this grown-ass woman sitting there, whips it out, and take a piss on her. Like, whoa. This act of literal and figurative disrespect pushes Sweet Pea over the motherfucking edge. In a moment of dark empowerment, she uses the father's pocket knife to fatally stab this man, then dispose of his body in the canal. This act, while horrifying as hell, seemed to spark life in her. A roar of existence in this world, pretty much saying, I am here. Man, my final thoughts on this first episode was it took a dark, comedic take on actual true crime genre, blending the elements of a psychological thriller and also bringing a real good bit of humor. Ella's portrayal as Sweet Pea is both compelling and unsettling. It captures just about everything you will want in somebody that's just been over the edge. To me personally, it's very relatable because we all be in situations to where we're just as nice as we can be, but it's only so far a human being can go. One of the things I'm noticing in this first episode that I really enjoyed personally was, if you notice, a lot of the scenes Before she made the kill, she was black and white. She was gray. She really had no color, which is like an absolute genius to the actress. But when she makes that first kill or unalivement, you instantly see color in her face, her hair. It was life. It was like a switch that went on. So I'm very interested to see where those go. So, man, please check this out. Links will be in the description. It's on Stars right now. Please check it out. I will, you know what? Better yet, I'll put a link of the trailer in this video. All right, now we're jumping into one of my favorite segments, the What If segment. And this is one I always thought about as a kid. What if Sting joined the NWO? Now, all right, we got to head to 1996, jump in the Wayback Machine. Imagine this. What if it wasn't Hogan? What if they went with the original plan of Sting joining NWO? What changes? Who legacy dies? Who gets a bigger legacy? This is something I've always imagined. We gotta get into this. July 7th, 1996, Bash at the Beach. History was just about to be made, but in this universe, the red and yellow never walked down the aisle. In this twisted timeline of my creation, it wasn't Hulk Hogan dropping a leg. It was Sting. So let's flip the script. The Hulkster brother never turned heel. Instead, it was Sting. He walks out as the third man. The crowd is expecting salvation, but what they get is betrayal. In neon tights and white face paint, he slides into the ring, eyes cold. Bat left backstage. Scorpion death drop to Macho Man Randy Savage. And just like that, WCW dies a little inside. But where it gets good, Sting doesn't cut the typical heel promo the next night. No. No fake boos, no cheap heat, no shit like that. Instead, he comes out, eyes full of fury, and he says, "For years, I was WCW. When Ric Flair left in 92, I stayed. I carried this company. I bled for this company. But I was never him, never Flair, never Hogan. Just a mascot with face paint. And when Hall and Nash showed up, even Lex, my best friend, looked at me like I was the enemy. You all turned your backs on me. So finally, the first time in my career, I'm going to show you who I am." That's not just a promo, that's a testimony. He doesn't become Hollywood Sting, brother. He becomes something darker, more dangerous. Crow Sting is born early, but by this time, it's not sadness or silence that fuels him, it's rage. A quiet, calculating vengeance. The white face paint is now laced with black, cracked, like the man who's been carrying WCW sins for way too long. The bat sprayed with NWO letters. He doesn't hide in the Raptors, he hunts in them. And the beautiful part about this, it gets deeper. Sting's first target isn't just the WCW roster. It's Lex Luger. They sell the emotional part. Lex, we could have ruled the world. We could have ruled this place together, but you never believed in me. Now Luger is torn. He tries to get through to Sting, maybe even pretends to join the NWO just to talk him down. But Sting isn't having it. Fall Brawl 1996, Sting versus Luger. Sting beats him senseless. Cold, surgical, no remorse. He walks away without celebration. WCW Golden Boy has now become a ghost. And here's where DDP comes in. The everyman, the people's champion. He isn't flashy, he isn't political, he just wants to fight for what is right. He steps to Sting like, "I believed in you when nobody else did, and this is what you became." The feud becomes the emotional core of WCW versus the NWO. The Diamond Cutter versus the Death Drop. Blue Collar Heart versus War Paint Hate. And what about Hogan, you say? Well, he watches from the sidelines. He's a babyface now. He tries to be the hero again, but this time nobody's sure that they want him back. This redemption arc writes itself. The timeline is richer, it's layered, it's Shakespeare in a cage. Sting becomes wrestling's greatest anti-hero. Lex becomes WCW tragic emotional spine. DDP is the soul. Hogan is a fallen angel trying to earn his wings back. And the NWO, they just don't invade, they infect. All because Sting decided to stop being the face of WCW and chose to be its reckoning. And maybe, just maybe, that version of Sting was the real one all along. Now we're moving on to segment 3, Killer of the Week. For our first Killer of the Week, we are diving into a man who ruled the entire country, Ted Bundy, charismatic, calculated, and cold-blooded. Bundy just didn't kill, he performed. He feigned injuries, pretended to be lost, acted helpless. The whole "can you help me load this into my cart" thing. Straight up predatory theater. He played the long game, like a rail-ridden TV villain who earns your trust before the mask comes off. Think. Joe Goldberg from You, all the charm until the truth creeps in. Dexter Morgan, Bundy wasn't nearly as noble, but the duality spot on. Kilgrave, Jessica Jones, pure control wrapped in charisma. Bundy knew how to manipulate emotions, twist perceptions, and wear a mask of normancy. The duality is exactly why writers love villains like him, because it challenges us to question what evil looks like. Bundy was a media golden boy of horror. He was articulate, clean cut, and conventionally attractive. A serial killer that didn't fit the monster's mold. He gave interviews like he was promoting a movie. He defended himself in court like it was a stage. The media ate it up. Cameras loved him, and in turn the public got obsessed. Why? Because it was easier to focus on the performance than to face the horrifying truth that evil can look familiar. He broke our patterns of recognition, and that's what made him fascinating. Bundy was a walking, talking lesson in what a psychopath is. No remorse, superficial charm, master of deception, and a complete lack of empathy. But here's the scariest part. He wasn't some shadowy figure lurking in the dark. He was among us. His case teaches us that danger isn't always obvious. It's often hidden behind a smile. He also exposes how perception makes us trust an appearance more than the behavior. People ignore red flags because he didn't look like a killer. Psychology 101. And alright, here's the truth nobody really wants to say out loud. People romanticize Ted Bundy because they can't handle the reality of evil. It's a mental safety net. If you turn the monster into a misunderstood bad boy, it's easier to cope. It's also the twisted part of human nature, where people confuse charm with goodness, mistakes intelligence for mortality, and think attraction means safety. Bundy weaponized all of that, and people still fell for the illusion. But make no mistake, he was a predator who used society's blind spots as camouflage. Ted Bundy was the devil in disguise, and the world gave him a microphone. His legacy just isn't about what he did, but what he revealed about all of us. All right, before we close this blood-soaked love letter to chaos, let's settle something that's been living in my head rent-free for a while. If Dexter Morgan and Roman Reigns went head-to-head, who do you think's walking away? There's going to be a poll I'm going to set up so you guys can vote or just leave it in the comments. I think it'll be fun. Drop your vote on my IG and TikTok. I'll put all that information in the description. Comment, argue, tag friends. I'll shout out the wildest take the next episode, guarantee. And that's it for episode 1 of the Body Slam and Body Counts. We talk Sweet Pea, staying on the dark side, Bundy's manipulation, and the throwdown of all time between Roman and Dexter. We never knew we needed that, but we do. Don't forget to follow us on the IG and TikTok, and subscribe so you never miss an episode drop. And until next time, keep your matches booked and your orbitals tight. Peace.